The book Execution by Hunger, The Hidden Holocaust by Miron Dolot is a gripping and at times horrifying book recording the author's experience in the Ukraine Famine of 1932 and 1933. In this famine, it is estimated that somewhere between 5 and 13 million people starved to death in the Soviet Union. It gives a plethora of lessons learned for preparedness and preppers of the reality of when sugar hits the fan and even goes into the end of the world as you know it. The author was born in 1916 in a Ukraine village of nearly 4,000 people with about 800 families. Virtually all were simple farmers, few with more than 50 acres, one horse cart, one cow, pigs and chickens, geese and ducks. The author's family had 15 acres. Houses consisted of a clay floor, rudely being plastered with clay, and a thatched roof. A few houses had a tin roof, which was considered a sign of prosperity. Most houses had one room. The author's father was a simple farmer, but so respected that he was the mayor of the town. In 1919, when the communist socialists took control of the village, the author's father was killed, seemingly because he was not a communist socialist, sort of out with the old and in with the new. The author's family continued with his mother, an older brother, a younger brother, via the assistance of 3 uncles. Families in the village were close-knit and living a simple and happy life. In 1929, the Communist Party and social government decreed the collectivization of all farmers' property. All hell was about to be unleashed. In December 1929, official representatives of the Communist Party and the Soviet government came to the village to organize a collective farm. January morning 1930, while people slept, 15 villagers were arrested and disappeared. The school teacher, clerk of the village, a store owner. The rest were ordinary farmers. The leadership had been taken away in one day. Almost immediately, their families were evicted and their property declared state property. The 15 men were declared enemy of the people. A series of meetings were held to convince the farmers to give their property to the commune. They resisted verbally. In February 1930, army units were moved into the village to gain total control. Any resistance to collectivization was met with force, including the author's older brother and 3 uncles were arrested. The brother and 3 uncles were never seen again. Bugging out was not an option. The only means to travel was via railroad, and the stations were closely guarded, and you needed documented authorization to travel. All land, horses, carts, pigs, geese, ducks, and chickens had to be turned over to the government. Many animals so collected disappeared or died due to poor care. If you resisted, you were declared an enemy of the people and arrested and sent to labor camps. Few were ever seen again. Cats and dogs were ordered killed, and wild birds were killed by the government to deprive them as a source of food to the people. By the end of 1931, the village faced mass starvation. By the spring of 1932, famine broke out and deaths began from hunger. The government began to search homes for food and take it via a bread provision committee. Any food was kept by the government. The winter of 1932-1933 was crushing. What were the summary lessons learned, and how did the author, his mother, and his younger brother survive? 1. The government was at war with its own people. It is believed by many, including myself, that Stalin, the Soviet leader, orchestrated the famine as retribution to resistance of the people in the Russian Civil War, begun in 1917, and resistance to collectivization. 2. Government forced people to bug in. There was no bugging out option. 3. The author states you must be prepared to eat anything, regardless of how bad it looked. 4. He and his older brother were able to work at the commune for 2 hot meals a day and a bread ration. Take every opportunity to obtain additional food. 5. He and his younger brother worked as a team to steal beets and potatoes from commune fields at night. And 6. They only cooked at night when the smoke could not be seen. 7. His mother's idea to hide caches of food not at home but on the government land. 8. Late January 1933, at the height of the famine, the author and his mother were able to trade a small gold medallion for food. Gold was life. 9. The author states, starvation in our village now reached a point at which death was a desirable relief. And 10. There were many cases of cannibalism. In May 1933, starvation abated with spring growth. The Ukrainian famine of 1932 and 1933 happened less than 100 years ago. Be forewarned. Be prepared.